Take Me to the River. That's just what I need to find. I realised that all the fragrances I put patchouli in, I think, are sort of red. They feel kind of dark red to me.
Does patchouli feel dark red to you?
I think maybe it does.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's not a percentage. I don't know what percentage is in there, but it doesn't matter. It's what's important is that it's in. I am ready. I think. Yes.
Cool.
Exactly. So many things. We've got new scent strips. You're going to like this, I think. It's made.
They're so beautiful that I think I'm going to feel really bad for playing with them and twisting them around. And
that's why I did it. No, that's not why I did it. But they're made out of leftover coffee.
Right.
It's. That's why it's got bits in it. But I had to test that it doesn't smell, but it doesn't smell, so that's okay. So onto those we will put some patchouli of different sorts, because last week I was remaking Inevitable Crimes of Passion for the first time since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We've not made a batch. Oh, it's the police. Not made a batch of Inevitable Crimes of Passion since 2016. And I sort of thought we were going to discontinue it. Maybe it would just fade out of whatever. But Brooke chose it for hoo-ha.
Right.
You know, like she raided Harry's graveyard, what you call it. It's more like she came to my home for the elderly. But so mine was still alive. And
a new lease of life.
Yes, we've sent them off.
So hoo-ha, they send everyone a.
Yeah, you can subscribe, so you can get a small amount of it, and so of course this is brand new. This is not really old enough to be allowed out on its own yet. But I remade it, and I was just thinking.
That's diluted, isn't it?
It is diluted already, but it's at 20%. This one, and also one of the reasons I thought I might not make it again was just because it was so extraordinarily expensive. Because the early days I used to make 100 grams of something, and so it wasn't. You didn't really think. I didn't really scale up in my head to what if I have to make 2 kilos.
Well, I remember when you made these perfumes, and it was you crowdfunded it originally.
Yes.
And the way that you were describing it was you had to crowdfund it because you wanted to play with ingredients that were ridiculously expensive and you'd never actually be able to use.
This is true.
And that was supposed to be that, but it isn't. Now you're still making them. I'm
still making them, and what I had to buy, what I had to invest in for this in order to make another batch was some more cognac oil. We're not allowed to call it cognac anymore because the cognac people have kicked off, but
right.
Well, I suppose we can now we're in the UK. But it is green, bright green, and it's made from cognac. And so Inevitable Crimes of Passion is the one which is a Henry James novel in a book. So and a young innocent woman is seduced by a handsome roue who leads her into the orangery and serves her coffee, and then it's cognac, and then the basement, and she might be never seen again. That's sort of the story, but it's meant to be one of those fragrances that you smell and you just go.
It does do that.
That's all right then.
I'll tell you what though, these coffee strips they make it sort of you can't really see on the. It's made it. It's made it. Curl.
He's already bent the top and.
Yeah, but the bottom is just natural. Yeah,
no.
it's just yeah. It did.
All right then. I believe you.
I quite like it. It's like a ski. No, I honestly haven't touched that.
But, so, methylinon gamma, pink grapefruit, Cabrera, Cedrambra fine. And then it gets into honey absolute, so not vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Then the patchouli, which is what we're coming back to. Sandalwood, vanillin plus vanilla and rocks. Mushroom absolute, raspberry leaf absolute. The rum essence and the cognac oil, coffee absolute. And pink peppercorn. But this patchouli was getting me thinking, because this is 9.92% patchouli, this formula. And what the patchouli...
It's interesting because I can't smell patchouli in it.
That is exactly why we're here, yes. And it's a lot of patchouli, but this smells of basically Terry's chocolate orange and Jaffa cakes.
It really does.
And I haven't put orange in, and I haven't put any chocolatey material in, apart from vanilla. But I found that if you put pink grapefruit, patchouli, and the coffee, you get
Jaffa cake. That is a Jaffa cake. Yeah. Wow.
It goes slightly more interesting later when the sort of mushroomy parts come out. So, but it's got a very sort of open, innocent, tempting. Yeah, have a Jaffa cake, my dear. Yeah. And that's a lot of patchouli. You cannot tell that it's patchouli because it just does something completely different. It's a shapeshifter. So I brought things that have patchouli in. It really, I could stick this up my nose and keep it there.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that I was obliged to make another batch and think about it, because I haven't been thinking about it.
Yeah, it smells very... I don't recognise this when it's young. Obviously I know this fragrance very well, but it changes a lot as it macerates. It
needs a little while. I had to get this ready because it's off going to another country, and I needed it ready for when orders come in. So it's going to sit for some time, and the rest of the batch is still I've still got it at 100% maturing, because I would like it to.
And it's a lot of naturals, isn't it? Obviously.
It is.
And that's why it changes so much, is it?
That's, yes, pretty much it, because every natural is made of hundreds of different molecules, and so they need a lot of time to get to know each other. So I'm now going to give you, I probably should have done this the other way around.
Giant scent strips.
Giant scent strip. Yes. So you can drip things, and we can spray things onto this more easily. So I've got the thin ones and I've got the thick ones. So this is Patchouli Essential Oil at 10%. This is a dark patchouli. That is to say, it's got all the bits in.
It's every shop ever that sells crystals.
It's actually quite like that one on the high street. You know, the one that sells the kombucha, and you walk in the door and it's boom, incense.
Yeah.
Bushwhacker.
Bushwhacker.
If you happen to be at King Street, really excellent health food shop. But it's definitely got this going on. But a lot of people who were around in the 70s and earlier smell this and they go, "Oh, it smells better than I remember patchouli smelling," they say. And they think, well, this is posh stuff. Yeah,
it doesn't... I've got a little thing of Patchouli Essential Oil at home, and I'm actually not certain it is patchouli.
Some of it I think is a bit rough, and some of it has probably been diluted down with other things in order to save money.
So what is it, a root?
No, this one's a plant. It's sort of related to mint a little bit, apparently. It looks... It's a little fluffy herb. Lots of history. I'm sure we've talked about it at some point about it. It's a moth repellent.
Is it?
So,
is it?
Yeah. It used
As in clothes moths?
Yeah. So it was used, the original sort of Victorian smell of cashmere clothes, pashminas, they would come over from India, scented with patchouli, so you could tell that the real ones were that, just in order to keep the moths out.
Wow.
And also, it would scent Indian ink.
Wow.
So
Do the moth? I wonder if the patchouli plants work. Maybe as a moth repellent.
Don't see why not.
I'll grow some in my room.
Yes.
Because there really is there is an epidemic of moths. That's not the right word, is it? What's it called?
Plague.
There's a plague.
It's a moth plague.
It is.
There's the moth plague of London. And it's because mothballs have been banned because they're poisonous.
Right. Yeah, and they just.
Well, they actually it doesn't. You don't notice it too much on humans. We don't quite know the damage they did, but mothballs can kill cats.
Oh right.
Yeah, if cats get into the cupboard where there's mothballs and they go to sleep there, they might never wake up again. So all those people say, "Oh, it's terrible. They've banned mothballs. What's wrong with that?" I bring mine in from some other country where it's not banned, and I go, "You don't keep the animals in the house, do you? Because they also kill your budgies and your cats and all that. So
wow.
They don't just stop at moths."
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So this is better. So that's Patchouli Dark because that's got everything in it. And that's the one I tend to use.
I can see why.
Although
it's quite creamy, that one.
Like I was saying, I think before we turned the machine on that I always seem to put it in fragrances that I feel are sort of reddish. But having said that, Oak Mossery I feel is dark greenish, but they're definitely on the dark side. This is another one, which is a rectified patchouli, which just means it's been put right. Now, it did that when I said the dark side, didn't I?
Yeah,
I mentioned the dark side and the sun went in.
This is very fruity.
So this has had some of the dark bits taken out of it. This is, rectified. It's funny. Of course it means put right, technically rectified, but that implies that there's something wrong with the dark patchouli.
Yeah.
And that's more like, this is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Yeah. It's it smells like a bit like blackcurrant to me, that. You would be forgiven for thinking that these were two different plants.
Yeah.
Completely different plants.
Yeah.
Wow, the clouds are really playing havoc.
It's sort of, it's uncoloured, decolorised as well. Darkness. So sometimes people prefer to use that because it doesn't have the full-on patchouli smell, but also doesn't have the full-on patchouli colour. If they want to then turn their perfume pink or, I don't know, green or something. And I do occasionally use there's one called Patchouli Cœur, which means the heart, which is the same thing as a rectified one. It just sounds a little bit more romantic than rectified, doesn't it, I think? Cœur.
So just different things have been taken out?
Yes, things which are either too bright and pointy or too rough and
so we're just
dirty.
right in the middle.
It's sort of quite clean. I have discovered that I was looking through my formulas. I've got Court of Ravens here. Let's smell that now. I meant to spray that on the fat one. This turns out to have in it, so it has patchouli in it. It's got a lot of things in it. Oh, sometimes I just forget how much I like things. This has more patchouli in it than anything else at all.
Oh right, it's majority patchouli, is it?
Not majority, it's just the biggest.
Right,
it's got lots of different things. It's got 16.29% patchouli, I just noticed. This is crazy amounts of expensive. What am I thinking? This is great. Okay, followed by bergamot, followed by rose. That's why it's quite rosy.
It's really, really...
So Court of Ravens is my homage to where we live, Ravenscourt. At this point, normally that raven turns up, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I hear nothing.
God, it's really, really nice. Again, it's one of these weird things when we focus in on one ingredient, it changes the way that all of your perfumes smell to me.
Yeah. But do you smell
I'm
patchouli
smelling
in
it
this
again.
really? Because
I do. I do if I really think about it.
It also has
This,
a couple of musks, labdanum, and I've put in things that I think represent the iridescent shininess of the black feathers of the ravens, and those are lavender and peppermint and pink grapefruit and the tiniest amount of cumin. Yeah.
I like cumin.
Cistus, styrax, frankincense. And your favourite cashmere and velvet?
Oh, yes.
So, and there's some oak moss. And oak moss and patchouli they're good mates. They go back.
Mm-hmm.
Most interesting film ever.
Can I spray some on me?
Oh goodness, yes.
Is there?
That one.
So.
Please do cover yourself in it. Or just do one small squirt. Either way.
I'm trying to do Jacques' technique, which is
Okay.
from one spray from a long distance.
Yes.
Oh, he's good in it. Yeah, really nice.
Well, there's another one thing to smell in the patchouli materials department today, which is this. Now this I did put in the version of my competition entry which you've been wearing.
Yes.
I took it out of the finished one because we're not supposed to put in anything which is patented or belongs to one particular company.
Right.
This I think might still be under patent, so I took it out. But
Dreamwood base, is it? Is that what it is?
you're very close. It's clear wood.
Clear wood.
I say
only know
you're close in that
because you were talking about it yesterday.
Yes, but it's this one is actually made from patchouli. I mean, Dreamwood smells like sandalwood.
Yes.
And it's a captive, so we have it as a base. It's got something else added to it. Clearwood. It's got the same cask number as patchouli,
Oh.
and it says contains patchouli. But if we got the dark, which has got pretty much everything in it, we've got the rectified or the cœur. What Clearwood is the even cleaner version. So it's almost transparent patchouli.
It really is, yeah.
And
wow.
after everything else that we've been smelling,
It's barely there.
yeah.
Explain, for those who don't know, what cask number is.
Oh yes, all materials that we use have an individual number, so that you can look them up on the chemicals registry. I wish I could remember what it stands for, but a natural will have a cask number, and a synthetic will have a cask number, but then a molecule which occurs in a natural will also have a cask number. So they can get a bit confusing, but something like bergamot, the bit that's had the furicoumarins taken out, it's still got the same number as the one that's still got them in, and it's got the same number as the petitgrain, and so it helps you identify if you've got the same material, but sometimes you have to be extra careful because they set it up and didn't think it through, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you sometimes they have different cask numbers for the methods that they've been produced by, but it's a reference number. Yeah, that obviously just makes no sense if I say something's got the same cask number and I haven't explained what cask number is. Thank you,
Yes,
Arthur.
it's like an ISBN for chemicals.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's somewhere you can just Google patchouli cask and it'll pop up something like 4739/20/1. And it's not that, it's probably something completely different. But yes, you can check. But just because they've got the same cast number doesn't mean they're the same. And if they have different cast numbers, it doesn't mean they're different.
Yeah.
But it gives you a vague idea that you're in the right ballpark. So, Inevitable Crimes of Passion, that was 10%. This is 16% patchouli. I've also got... what do you want to smell? Take Me to the River. I can't remember... I've got my workings here. I've not got the finished version, so I don't know, but I'm going to... It's in there, can you smell it? Sometimes they're there for different reasons. I will put patchouli in something as part of a chypre base. Because I like... We're in the serious department today. We're in the going out fragrances department, I think. Or the invite someone round to dinner fragrances, these are.
Yeah, all of these smell new to me.
In that you feel as if you haven't smelt them before in this context.
Yeah.
So this, I've used the patchouli in the dark version in an accord I called Chair. But this is a big leather sofa at the back of a nightclub that's been there for years and years and years, and it had Tobacco Absolute and Cabaret Over, which is a nice sticky wood, dark patchouli, tree moss, ethyl saffronate, which smells sort of like leathery apples, and then chocolate extract and Bran Absolute. So I needed it to be part of that. It does make part of a leather accord as well, patchouli. Oh, see, I had to stop wearing Take Me to the River out, because every time I wore it, somebody would say, "Oh my God, that's amazing, where do you get it? Have you got any with you? Can I have it?" And I gave away so many bottles. But I should start wearing it again.
It's really, really good.
So, okay, unhelpfully, I don't know exactly how much patchouli is in that. But then I also have Red Queen, and that is in there as well. It's in London 1969. I should have thought of that. It's seriously big time, but citrusy in particular, because I wanted to make that hippie-ish, proper 1969.
Yeah.
I think you can smell it in London 1969 more than anything else I make.
You see, if you were to give me all of these fragrances and say what material do they have in common, I would not be able to tell you.
No.
It does just hide, doesn't it? It just sits in there.
It does. Yeah.
I mean, but you know it's there, but it doesn't really make itself known. It just sort of...
And I'll tell you what's interesting about this one to me is this is 2.3% patchouli. And I think you can almost smell it more.
It's like a yo-yo, this. I mean,
I know. It's like
the light.
the clouds. Yes, I feel as if I'm almost becoming invisible. Maybe it's like each time you smell a dark one, it... This one, there's a lot less patchouli in it than some of the others, but I feel it stands out more. And I'm not sure I can explain it. This is much more fruity.
Yeah.
And I think the fruitiness of it that you mentioned, it's like... It goes really well with... Well, there's a whole category called fruity tuli. It's like...
Oh, is there?
Fruitiness and patchouli fragrances. I think, now I come to think of it, maybe Red Queen is one of them.
I would say that this is a fruity tuli.
I think we've just decided. I've made a fruity tuli. I mean, it's meant to be the Red Queen of Alice in Wonderland, so it's sort of... It's her jam tarts that she made.
Yeah.
And London 1969, which I ought to have here, but I don't think I have. Because the patchouli in that, I think, really stands out as hippie. So, we've covered some points. Why would you use patchouli?
Use it.
Because it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Because it makes things smell really chocolatey a lot of the time. It's in blue. Our Modern Lives blue, which is incense and vetiver, and it's really quite... it's one of the 100% natural ones. And it really smells chocolatey.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I've learnt here is that it's a lot more versatile than I thought it was. It's I just always thought of it as something that smells like, you know, incense shops.
Yes.
But actually, it's fruity and also quite spicy. And
quite chocolatey.
Quite chocolatey, yeah. It's all these things.
And the other thing is, a lot of people think that the smell of patchouli is what marijuana smells like, because in the 70s the hippies used to put the patchouli on to cover up the smell of marijuana, they thought.
Yeah.
And all that happened was that all their mums and dads thought that patchouli was the smell of marijuana.
Yeah.
So it...
be nice if it was. It's a lovely smell.
Yeah, because it's a great deal better than stinky old round the back of the park bench.
Round the back of a park bench?
Well, that's where...
Quick, let's get behind the park bench.
All the kids round our park, when you come for a walk, they sort of stick the joint round the round the back of the bench like that, and then it's not there really, and you can't smell it. We can smell it halfway
miles
across the field.
away.
But
and also, we don't care.
Exactly. Now it's legal even, but yeah, I know. Bless them. They think they're looking all cool. I'm just looking to see what else I've got here that's got it in. Probably everything. Yeah, what from the loft? That's got patchouli in it. I'd be probably hard pushed to find many of mine that don't.
Oh.
But somebody asked me about a formula I did recently which had clear wood and patchouli dark in. They said, why would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
But it makes a balance. It means that, so you've got the bit and the stop it in the middle and the at that end. It just means you raise the stop it in the middle more.
Yeah.
So...
They do go like skis, these. I quite like it. Yours don't, because you...
No, because I bend them already, so it doesn't do that. Okay. I'll test it and see if they go...
I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, it's wonderful. You absolutely should, and it just did it itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I believe
Look
you.
at what that one's done. No, I did that one.
Yeah. I think we probably just need to fade out now, unless I just talk about it forever. Careful what you... Well, be careful what you wish for.
But this is just being a natural fade out.
That just, 11.5% in the Be Careful What You Wish For as well. Now that's a fruity blinking patchouli if you ever heard that one.